Okay, so now that we understand how variables work and conditional statements, now we can really start to have some fun. So the first thing I'm going to do, as much as I love the chicken variable, it's really important that we give our variables name that have some kind of meaning to what they do. So if this variable chicken, if I was actually going to name it something meaningful and it's messing around with the x position, I would actually probably name this variable x position or x something that would let me know kind of what it's doing. But I don't want to do the x position anymore. I'm going to start playing around with this. So I'm actually going to name this integer size. Because what I'm going to do is take this size integer and I'm going to get rid of the chicken one down here and I'm going to put chicken back to just a normal value of 250 for the x position, y position. But now the next two integers in the ellipse function here have to do with the width and the height. And that's where I'm going to put in the size variable because I want the size variable to change. So the size is going to go here, and I can use a variable as many times as I want. All right, doesn't matter. As long as I use the right word for it, it'll work. So now my size my size parameters here are doing the width and the height. So they're both going to be 50. I'm going to not use chicken anymore. I'm going to go to size, and then size equals size plus 1. So what do you think is going to happen when I run this? What's going to change? It's no longer going to change the x position. It's going to change the size of the ellipse. And now if my size gets to be 500, it's going to go back to where it started at 50. So let's run this. Wow, so now instead of moving across, it's actually growing in size until it gets to the top and it starts over again. So feel free to play around with the size or other shapes or rectangles and look at some different values that you can change. There's a lot of integers in this sketch, not only about position and size, but even the color. The color, these are 3 integers here. Let's try changing one of those. I'm going to change my int instead of size. Actually, I'm just going to make another int because you can have more than one variable happening at the same time. So remember, to make a variable, you have to declare the type of variable, which is an int. I'm going to call this one red color. And remember, you can't put any spaces in your naming. So I'm going to put them all together. And I'm going to start this value at 0. And I'm going to change my red color in my fill to this integer, red color. So instead of 255, I'm going to call it red color. All right, so now to keep it the same, actually, I'm going to have it start at 255. And what it's going to do, it's actually going to get less and less. So let's see how that happens. All right, so I'm going to write another conditional statement down here. Remember, make sure you're not inside the brackets because that's for this statement here. So I'm going to say if, opening and closing parentheses, and inside I'm going to say if red color is equal to, now it's starting at 255, so if I'm going to say if red color equals 0, because it's going to go down, then opening bracket, closing bracket, go back up, make some space. What's going to happen? It's going to go back to 255. So it's going to go start at 255, come down. When it gets to 0, if it equals 0, we're going to set red color back to equal. Remember, 1 equal sign sets it, 2 equal sign compares it. Back to 255. Great. And then, if that condition isn't met, we have to make the red color variable get lower. So instead of the plus sign, instead of incrementing, of going up, we're going to do red color equals red color minus 1. Oops, make sure you spell your variables right. So then it's going to make it go lower. Make sure you have all your semicolons after each statement or it's not going to work. All right, so it's going to check to see if it's 0. If it is, it's going to set it back to 255. If it isn't, it's going to take red color and it's going to subtract it by 1 and then loop back again. So let's see what this does. So the size is going to change because that variable is still going, and the amount of red is going to change. Oh, see, it's getting darker and darker red. Whoa. Then it jumped back up again to 255. And so these things are happening at different times because they're reaching their endpoints at different places, because one is going up to 500, and one is only going up to 255. That's pretty cool. So play around with this, have some fun, try some different things, create as many variables as you want, and see what you can make out of it. Have fun.